Welcome, everyone, to the Milwaukee Mile, built in 1907. We go from one historic trek to another, from Indianapolis to Milwaukee. The Wisconsin State Fairgrounds welcomes the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series for race 3 of 18 of its 5th season. We're glad you're with us here for CART on ABN. It's time to get to business. First 2 races have given us a pretty whirlwind points situation. Mirabella Viscali leads a rookie charge at the front of the points order, 73 points for Viscali ahead of Tucker Sawyer. The current ABN World Championship leader sits second in the points after a win on the road course at Indianapolis for the Brickyard Grand Prix. Didn't finish so hot at the 500 a week ago. We'll see how he gets on here at the Milwaukee Mile. Willie Frazier is third in points going into the Milwaukee Mile, sitting with 53 points. Rick Rivon sitting with 51 points, winning the Indianapolis 500 last week. He is present in Milwaukee. He wants to go for that title. Kenneth Smith also on 51 points. Nate Fields at 50. Josh Gaiman, Lance Anthony, Nick Pressey, and DJ Trout round out your top 10 at the moment, with a very crowded group after 2 races in and around that top 10 conversation. Your defending champion, Bobby Blowers, he's 13th in the points. A little bit of a slow start. We'll see if things can fire off on all cylinders here in Wisconsin for the number 1 machine. Brian Edwards, 14th in points. William Rucker in 15th. Daniel Pereira, the top Brazilian in the field. He is 16th in points. Martin Roberg, Blue Jade, John Matthews, and Travis Rucker round out your top 20 in this field. A lot of different names have scored points this season. 39 have scored points, to be precise, at the moment. This is some of the drivers that have either only made one start this season, or have had rough starts this season overall in general. So we'll see how things pan out as we get through Milwaukee. 24 cars ready to get up and racing here in Milwaukee. And again, it's all about Mirabella Viscali currently leading the way in the point standings. Rick Rivon, the Indianapolis 500 race winner a week ago, currently sitting on pole position. We'll bring the qualifying results to you in just a moment. Before we do get too awful far into this, a shout out to our premier tier supporters on Patreon that have helped keep the lights on here at ABN over the last couple months. Trade Up Slogan, Dogman2935, KJ Gibney, B-Dogs, Eli Sasick, Jason Scott, Alfred Denny, Weekend Hobby 22, Philip Snipes, Blue Jay, Tyler Head, and Colin McDonough. A huge shout out to each and every single one of you here from Milwaukee. If you want to have your name shouted out, Patreon's the place to get that set up. Get a lot of extra content as well throughout the week, supporting things like HTL, Winstel, and everything here at CART, including all the preseason stuff we did for CART last month. Now we're in the month of May, the most magical month of the season. Good time to be alive here on ABM. The starting grid is pretty well pronounced here as we get ready to go racing. Bottom of your screen, you'll be able to see the full starting grid. Rivon and Blowers at the front of the field to get this party started. It's a pretty crowded front of the group, though. David Cook Jr. and Nate Fields sitting in row number 2. Row 3 is where you'll find the Argentine Matias Marcomeni and the Brazilian Daniel Pereira, South American flair, in row 3. 5th and 6th on the grid. William Rucker and Nick Pressey make up row number 4. Your top 10 on the starting grid is rounded out by Brandon Statton and Brian Edwards as we get ready to get this race underway. Row 6 is where you'll find Marlo Duncan and DJ Trout, just outside the top 10 there. Josh Gaiman and Mirabella Viscali, your points leaders, qualified 13th and 14th on the grid. Just behind them, Sheridan Wade, your Indianapolis 500 pole sitter, and Lance Anthony, making his 71st start here tonight. Andrew Fay and John Matthews sit in row number 9. Gil Aldridge and Billy Smith, they are in row 10, 19th and 20th on the grid. Falling forward did not set qualifying time. Starting at the back of the field, Alyssa Pelletier Sharp and Blue Jade. Lee Frazier and Casey Allis will start from the very tail end here tonight. Huge shout out to all the sponsors for the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series. Bottom end of your screen as we get ready to get racing here in Milwaukee. 150 laps around this 1 mile racetrack. It is difficult, it is challenging, it feels asymmetrical. Require precision and finesse here tonight. As the field gets ready to roll. Glad you're with us here in Milwaukee. Really fun time here tonight. Pretty short formation lap. Everyone ready to get down to business following the race we saw a week ago. Ravon has started Milwaukee the way he ended Indianapolis a week ago. Can he follow through and grab his 8th career win? We're going to find out. The pace car is going to take a very sharp left down to pit lane. It's time for us to get to racing. Green flag flies. The Milwaukee 150 is on your way. Leads early. Flowers trying to apply pressure, drifts out wide out of turn 2. Everyone has survived the opening lap, though. That is a very crucial point. Double car in the fence, William Rucker. And there's our first caution. William Rucker in the fence. Missing part of his front wing there. What happened to 77? Turns 1 and 2. I think it was our first caution of the night. Let's take a look. This is Rucker, center of your screen, or just center right of your screen, I should say. What happens to car 77? Does he wash out? It looks like he might just wash out here a little bit. Oh, no, he gets loose. He starts sliding loose, and it's going to snap back over to the wall, I think. There you go. He does a really good job of keeping it in the fence, keeping it out of the way. But an unfortunate early incident there for William Rucker is going to put him behind the 8 ball really early here in Milwaukee. Cars in pit lane. That is Ellis and Rucker. They're just coming in for an early pit stop. Rucker will come in to get that front wing taken care of and see what all damage is affecting that 77 right now. He's going to use that quick repair and just not worry about it. So he'll end up being 21st as we sit under our first caution of the day. So it is Rick Ravon, your race leader, Bobby Blowers in second. David Cook Jr. in third. Nate Fields in fourth. Matias Marcomini and Daniel Pereira round out your top 6 as we complete the first 5 laps here with 150 at the Milwaukee Mile. Vaughn, Blowers, Cook, Fields, Marcomini, Pereira, Edwards, Cressy, Duncan, and Statton. Your top 10. As we get ready to go back racing, the lights on the pace car, I do believe, are off. So we'll be going green at the end of this lap. Single file restarts, as is tradition. Willie Sharp missed the start of the race, but is now on the racetrack several laps down. We do have free passes in effect here, so if we do get a slew of cautions, Sharp can get back on the lead lap, provided she's not a part of one of them. This is a place for an ABN Champ Car World Series. She is a race winner. We'll see what follows through here today. The pace car pulls off to the restart zone, and Rick Vaughn is back underway. We're racing again here in Milwaukee. Flowers knows your best chance to make past Sappin is early on the restarts. Trying to apply the pressure. Flowers running a little bit lower. In trouble farther forward, that was David Cook Jr., who has spun. We're under caution for the second time. Looks like David Cook Jr. a little bit more fortunate, did not tag the fence on the inside at least. Not sure if he tagged the wall on the outside, not seeing any indication that that would be the case. Quickly, our second caution of the day from David Cook Jr. from 3rd to 18th now, in very quick order. Trying to push her hard early, and it's snake bitten now Tukey in this race. So let's take a look at what happened here to David Cook Jr. Blowers was trying to really push it to keep up with Rick Vaughn. What happens to David Cook Jr.? Does he just spin it, or does he tag the fence and bounce? He gets loose before he even gets close to the fence and doesn't tag the outside, so he avoids the wall on both sides there. Pretty massive way, because he has to come to stop to avoid running into that tire barrier or the concrete wall to the inside. Caution is thrown automatically for the second time tonight. Casey Allis, the only taker down pit lane, topping off with fuel, did not take tires in the last go around either. Saw Sharp getting one of those laps back. So, this Peltier Sharp is now 4 laps down here at Milwaukee after missing the initial start. Blue Jade did not take the start. And so, unless Blue Jade makes an appearance at some point during the race, we'll score no points. Sharp, on the other hand, will score at least 7 points. Lights out on the pace car once again, which means we're getting ready to go back racing for our second restart of the night. Front two are as they were at the start. Most everyone else has gained a position at least with the spin of David Cook Jr. So we'll see how things shake out. Ravon, Flowers, Fields, Marco Mini, Pereira, your top 5. DJ Trout shuffles into the top 10 with Cook now down in 18th. Let's go pull left. From the restart zone, Ravon goes early, and here we go. Back underway. Stay unpredictable at the front of the field. Trying to hold on to that race lead. Flowers hot into turn 1. Loses it in turn 2, though. F1 jockeying for position early. Jockeying for clean air as well. On board with Flowers. A little bit. You can hear the car slide just a little bit out of turn 4. Got to really manage things. Going on the mid-pack outside the top 10 at the moment. Also, DJ Trout trying to move forward. And does so up to 9th around Staten. Viscali also trying to follow through. Trying to get into the top 10. Viscali gets clear of Staten as well. And now Viscali is 10th. That's Anthony, Andrew Fay. Side by side, wheel to wheel. A lot more wheel to wheel in that conversation. Anthony, Staten, Wade, and Fay all in the conversation at the moment. They're looking 3 wide out of turn 2. Someone had the better sense of self-preservation and backed out of it. Sheridan Wade from 14th to 11th in 2 laps. Pretty good vibe there for Sheridan Wade, the Indy 1 driver, a pole sitter last week for the Indianapolis 500. Whoa, and he spins! Spins hard into the fence, Sheridan Wade. And cautions out for a 3rd time. And our hardest impact of the day goes to Sheridan Wade. That car completely destroyed and has to be pulled off the racetrack. Just as he was beginning to find the rhythm, it all goes away. And here's why. Turn 2 bites again, as it did with David Cook Jr. It does with Sheridan Wade, only Sheridan Wade not so fortunate. Damage on both the front and the rear on the right side. A double whammy. And that car, unfortunately, just not going to be able to get rolling under any circumstances under its own power. So that is going to be devastating for Sheridan Wade, who's going to take a huge hit here. It does help out Lily Sharp, who now goes to 3 laps down after starting this race 5 laps down after missing the start. Front 2, however, have not changed. It's still Ravon and Flowers at the front of the field here in Milwaukee. Days here at the Milwaukee Mile. third restart coming up. Pace car lights are off, which means we're going deep green at the end of this lap to begin lap 21. Rick Vaughn leads the way. Flowers, Fields, Marcomini, and Pereira, the same order as they were in the last restart. So the race has been a bear crawl. We'll see if things change on this go-around. Vaughn leads. We're back underway here for the Milwaukee 150. Third restart underway. Flowers takes a look to the outside and gets a really good run. Is it going to be enough to challenge for the race lead? Not in the 3 and 4. But he had the right thought process, I think. Giving it a really honest go. 3 wide. Trouble. Trouble. Cars mid-pack. Cars tangled together. Couldn't quite tell who that was. Looks like Brandon Statton was one of them. His 51 car is all torn up. Sheridan Wade back out on the racetrack here. Looks like it might be Andrew Fay and Brandon Statton. Yeah, a lot of damage on the 28 car of Andrew Fay. He is crab walking, trying to get it back to pit lane under his own power. So it looks like it's between Fay and Brandon Statton where the contact was its heaviest. And under caution very quickly for the 4th time here in Milwaukee. Let's take a look at what happened. Everyone trying to grab positions as quickly as possible. It is Statton and Fay. That's side by side here. And it looks like they're both kind of going for the same line. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. So Andrew Fay wasn't the one connected to the 51 of Statton. Yeah, there's Statton, and then it's Josh Gaiman. That's who it was, 61, with a very rough go of it. See if we can get his onboard real quick on this, because this seems very peculiar. Josh Gaiman. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of time to himself on the wrong end of the bargain. Fast spares being used throughout the running order. Brandon Statton had to tow to pit lane. Same way Sheridan Wade had to. And Sheridan Wade, I do believe, got one of his laps back. Yes, he did. So everything changes except the tip top of the running order, which is where you'll still find Rick Vaughn and Bobby Flowers, Nate Fields in 3rd, Matthias Marcomini top 4, Daniel Pereira top 5 is how things sit. The reigning ABN World Champion sits 6th, that's Nick Cressy. Marlo Duncan in 7th, she's ahead of Brian Edwards. DJ Trout sits in 9th, ahead of Mirabella Viscali, the current kart points leader. After 2 races as we get ready to go back racing. Vaughn looking for another win to go back-to-back. We're back underway. 1/6 of the way through the Milwaukee 150. And Flowers going to try the trick he tried last restart to see if he can get anywhere. Vaughn on the hybrid out of turn 2, though, will make things difficult. He's trying to figure it out. In 3rd at the moment, comparatively speaking, to the top 2. Very close ensemble outside the top 10. That is Cook and Anthony. in a battle for the 11th position. John Matthews, Lee Frazier, 13th and 14th. William Rucker has recovered pretty nicely from his early spin in this race, where he had to use his fast repair for damaged wing and suspension. He is back up into 15th position right now. Back, Josh Damon getting around Keel Aldridge, and here comes more trouble. Car in the fence. Who was that in the fence? It's Billy Smith. And it looks like it's Billy Smith and Brandon Statton involved. A lot of damage on that 18 car. What happened to Billy Smith that ended up also collecting Brandon Statton? On board with Billy Smith. What happens here? Just loops it. Tries to keep it tight. Really late hit there for Statton. Not sure why Statton was so late on that. Let's take a look here. He is pretty well ways back. Ace. Almost target fixates, it looks like here, because he has room both inside or outside lane, and he chose neither in that situation. Very confusing. So pit stops underway for some of the cars further back in the order. Trout, William Rucker, Lance Anthony, Brandon Statton obviously coming in now because of damage. His day is likely done and over with. Billy Smith had to tow, but he has a fast repair in hand, so he can use that to get back on the racetrack. Brandon Statton will likely be in pit lane for quite a while in this race, if his day isn't completely done as is. So our fifth caution of the night here in Milwaukee. Slow crawl continues, the procession here at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds. It protects not only Ravon, but also protects Blowers. And Blowers will be frustrated, but he will also have new opportunities to try to go for that race lead on the restart. Figured out a trick to kind of get close to the 7 car there, but close and actually getting by are not the same thing. That is the unfortunate, frustrating part for Blowers is that intent's only 9/10 of the law. The action is the final 10. Lights out on the pace car. We're getting ready to go for racing for our 5th restart of the night. Completing lap 31, starting lap 32. Top 5 not changed with the last 3 restarts. It is still Ravon, Blowers, Fields, Marco Mini, and Pereira back underway. Here we go. And Ravon got an earlier getaway that time to try to throw off the number 1 of Blowers, and it was successful. Billy Smith was running the racetrack multiple laps down. Sharp's day is over at 24 laps of technical failure for the 17. As Ravon leads the way. Pressing, trying to apply pressure to Pereira. Far further back, that is Duncan, almost in defense. And under threat now from Brian Edwards. And Edwards will go on through. Move Edwards up to 7th, Duncan down to 8th. Bobby Blowers fast lap of the race, but we've not had a lot of green flag laps to set. Fast laps here. Edwards looking for a way around Pressey now. In this battle just outside the top 5. Pressey running top side, Edwards and Duncan on the bottom. And Edwards trying to leverage that ability to run the bottom lane. As Pressey runs the outside lane. And Pressey uses the outside lane to defend pretty well. Edwards will try the inside lane again in 3 and 4. And And he's going to get around Pressy and clear through 4. So Edwards up to 6. He's trying to find a way to the top 5. Car down pit lane, leading pit lane now is Keel Aldridge. Off the pace and laps down now. And Pereira is feeling the fire under his tail. Here comes Edwards. Pereira tries to defend the inside lane, goes back to the outside lane. That's a double move that's not typically pretty well received. We'll see how that pans out. Edwards not going to be happy about it. We'll see how it plays out. Pereira chooses outside. Edwards to the bottom. And they'll be side by side out of 4. Edwards across the line in 5th, ahead of Pereira. And just drives deeper through turns 1 and 2 to get clear of the Brazilian. Edwards up to 5th. Duncan in 7th, Pressy in 8th, Cook in 9th, and then it's Viscali in 10th. Rick Ravon is just at the fastest lap of the race. 22.193 for the Indianapolis 500 champion a week ago. Latency for Bobby Blowers further back does not help his case. We're putting Keel Aldridge another lap down here. And trouble Edwards. Huge trouble Brian Edwards. He had just gotten to the top 5. This is in turn 4. This is not a typical place where we see self spins. Was he assisted or did he just overdrive turn 4? That was where he was the fastest of those in that battle to try to get to the top 5. He has got massive damage in the back of the car, which is why he's crawling to pit lane at the moment. Let's just off of the race. Let's figure out why. This is on board with Brian Edwards. Does he just overdrive and slip? 100% he does. Oh, and he gets clobbered. That's the 71. 71 of David Cook Jr. is the one that got into the back of his car. Let's zoom out and take a look here. Brian Edwards tries straddling that seam where there's that fresher asphalt patching. And just does not quite pan out there. And some trouble for the number 2 machine early on. David Cook Jr., that's another setback for him. He had recovered pretty well from his own spin earlier on in the race. But now he finds himself on pit lane and will be back to the field once more. Sharp is now back on the racetrack, but is sitting well and truly down the running order here after having technical difficulties. 14 laps off the lead. First car off the lead lap right now is Keel Aldridge. We have 18 cars on the lead lap there. Sheridan Wade got his laps back. He is now up in 16th. Go racing here. David Cook Jr., last car on the lead lap. Brian Edwards is back out and running, having gotten to use his fast repair. I believe he is 2 laps down. Indeed, he is 2 laps down. He will shuffle to the back of the field here. The lead lap cars will go forward. The lap down cars, I believe, will shuffle backwards. Matthias Marcomini, I believe, just had a technical issue, just had a technical failure, did Marcomini. So he dropped out of the top 5. Pereira moves to 4th. Behind Ravon, Flowers in neat fields. Marlo Duncan now in the top 5. Ahead of Pressy and Viscali. Matthews and Frazier and Andrew Fay round out your top 10 as we get ready to go back underway for our 6th restart of the night. It is Ravon and Blowers at the front of the field as the haze begins to roll in. The green flag flies, and away we go. Side by side, further back, that is Frazier getting passed by Andrew Fay and trying to battle it back. Flowers trying to really fight for the front of the field there with Ravon. Everyone jockeying further back when the air is way too dirty to be very effective. All about compromise further back in the running order. And so Frazier sits in the 10th spot at the moment, trying to just hold station. Viscali and Pressey running side by side at the moment. These two had a run-in yesterday at Watkins Glen on lap 1 in the ABN Champ Car World Series, left them both out of the running. The two will also be teammates in the HTL Cup Series. So very complicated interaction this week between the two future teammates. But Viscali does get ahead of Pressey, and that's up into 6th place for Mirabella. Duncan in 5th has a little bit of leeway, some ability to move. Pressey under pressure. That is from John Matthews, who is up 10 spots from where he started this race. Looking for more. Matthias Marcomini returning to the racetrack, 21st, 7 laps down. Matthews and Pressey again battling. Matthews runs Pressey up the racetrack here towards the safer barrier, and it doesn't quite pan out. Pressey gets back around him and clear. And caution's out for the 7th time. Who is it for? Who is that for? That looks like the 71 again, is it? It's not the 71. I think it's Billy Smith. It is. Billy Smith is the car involved here. And Car 18's day is effectively done. He had already used his fast repair from an earlier crash. Trying to see what he can do if he can get that car back to pit lane. But there's only going to be so much they can do with that car, as wounded as it is. So our 7th caution of the race. Let's find out why. And this is pretty clear. Overdrives turn 2. And the car just steps out and turns into a merry-go-round for Billy Smith. And he's going to back it up into the wall, I think, here. Yeah. Ping-ponged off the inside wall. That was the race leader, Rick Ravon, that had to squeeze towards the wall to get by. But damage is done in a pretty big way there for Billy Smith, and his day is over. A lot of cars down pit lane. It does cycle new race leaders as Ravon comes down the pit lane for service. He'll be the first out of pit lane. No real question over that. DJ Trouts will become the new race leader ahead of William Rucker, Lance Anthony, Sheridan Wade, and David Cook Jr. Rick Ravon will end up being 6th on the running order. And so we get a small little reset as pit stops have affected the field en masse for the first time here in Milwaukee. Alfred Denny, Milwaukee native, should be pretty familiar with the West Allis-based racetrack. Welcome to the show, Al. It's been not quite gateway levels of bad, but it's been a grind early on. 7 cautions and 53 laps is a bit tough. DJ Trout will lead us to the green. Ahead of William Rucker, Lance Anthony, and Sheridan Wade. Your top 4, David Cook Jr. in 5th, Rick Ravon, who was your pole sitter and has led the most laps of anybody in this race. He will restart in 6th. And then it will be Bobby Blowers, Nate Fields, Daniel Pereira, and Marlo Duncan, your top 10, as we get ready to go back racing. Pace car pulls down pit lane. It's on Trout's command, and here he goes. We're back underway. Trout came down pit lane on lap 29, so he's got some wiggle room to move with how this race has played out so far. Sheridan Wade came down pit lane after his spin and crash on lap 17, and he sits right now in the 4th position. Marco Mini in trouble, it looks like once again. He is just now leaving pit lane. He has had another technical issue. And so the Argentine sits well and truly down the order in that technical issue is what's causing the latency. And it's resetting him back to pit lane every time he falls within an unacceptable limit. And so everyone's in trouble here. Battle for position between Pereira and Viscali for 10th. Cressy in a 12th position as well, also in that conversation. Viscali to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to race around Pereira, the Brazilian, trying to hold it up top on the outside lane. And so far, it's effective for Pereira. The 34 stays top 10. Retirements, there are not many. Brandon Statton and Billy Smith are the only 2 retirements in this race at the moment. Trout leads the way. Rucker, Anthony, Wade, Cook, Ravon, Blowers, your top 7. As Viscali tries to drive ahead and get clear of Pereira. Almost puts Pereira up in the fence, but does get clear as they battle further back. That is John Matthews battling with Andrew Fay. And that'll be Matthews trying to get clear for the 13th position. Looks like that'll be the case. Pereira and Cressy were side by side for a moment. Cressy trying to make a pass happen. No avail for the reigning ABN World Champion. As Matthews and Fay remain side by side in this battle for the 13th position. Trout continues to lead the way. The top 6 have not significantly changed except for a very crucial pass between Blowers and Rick Ravon. Ravon got a little bit tight, had to get out of the gas, and Blowers goes on through. So Blowers up to 6th, and cautions out for the 8th time. And it is for Andrew Fay, who has immediately sent that car back to pit lane. What has happened to car 28 here in Milwaukee? Failed to qualify for the Indianapolis 500. Took a huge hit after an already difficult race at the Brickyard Grand Prix a few weeks ago. And so our 8th caution here in 62 laps. Here's what happened from high above. He was in that battle with John Matthews. Is there contact, or does he get loose on his own? He snaps loose on his own. Matthews gives him plenty of space. Josh Gaiman, I think Gaiman loses a bit of his front wing there. Huge hit Brian Edwards. That's rough. Edwards has already used his fast repair as well, so he is likely done for the day as well. And Milwaukee has been a meat grinder. Rick Ravon coming down pit lane. The report is that he tagged the fence when he washed out tight and lost that position to Bobby Blowers. So they're going to try to get that taken care of here for car 7. See Brian Edwards missing a lot of body work. Andrew Fay's day is effectively done and dusted. And so it is a very busy pit lane once again, and it is saws, duct tape, and bolt-on parts at this point for a lot of cars in the field. Free pass position, I do believe, went to Keel Aldridge. It did. Keel Aldridge is now in 18th position. He is gaining with the attrition. He has been a part of the attrition for a small degree. But Keel Aldridge will gain another spot there on Brian Edwards, whose day is done. Car 2 is out for the running. Attrition already kicking in a pretty big way. Lily Sharp is back behind the wall. So is Matthias Marcomini. Andrew Fay, his day is effectively over. Brian Edwards' day is over, as is that of Billy Smith and Brandon Statton. We are down effectively to 17 runners out of 23 starters in this race. And we have about 11 laps to go until we see the halfway point, and we're already 8 cautions in. It is the equivalent of brushing your teeth with sandpaper, I think, is how we would analyze this race as it has started so far. It is DJ Trout at the front of the field. And away we go. We're back racing. Trout, Rucker, and Anthony, your top 3. Already a battle further back in this running order. That is Cook and Wade battling for the 4th spot. David Cook Jr. trying to sweep around the outside. Does so. David Cook Jr. up to the 4th position. Sheridan Wade in 5th. Bobby Blowers in 6th. Blue Jade making an appearance for the first time will finally get on the board after missing a good chunk of the earlier portion of this race. And for Blue Jade, a top 20 is in the cards. If he can complete the race from here, good chance he'll be scoring top 20 points at least, as things currently sit. Still battling here. This is a focus on the battle for the top 5. Flowers making it up to the top 5 in 5th. He's also having latency issues, and Sheridan Wade's going to battle back to the outside lane. Bold call. And it's going to work out for him just a little bit here. Latency has affected Marco Mini and Pelletier Sharp, with both of them pretty well out of the running. Marco Mini is back on the racetrack, but he is now more than 10 laps down. I believe he's looking at 14 or 15 laps down at the moment. I'm not going to use the brain power to actually do the mental math. 15 laps down is the official number there for Marco Mini, but he is off the race leaders. Battle further up the field as well, as David Cook Jr. pressures Lance Anthony for the last spot on the podium. Still early days. Everyone trying to find track position. Everyone drifting out wide here in the Milwaukee Mile. DJ Trout, though, leads the way over William Rucker, who has had an amazing recovery after spinning earlier in the race. William Rucker, the cause of our first caution of the night, has found his way forward here in a pretty massive way. Trout has a 3/4 of a second gap over the 77 right now. But we have seen that is not quite valuable at the moment. We'll go with that. Cressy and Ravon battling further back. This is outside the top 10 for 12th. And there is traffic everywhere. Just in front is the 10th place car, Daniel Pereira and Nate Fields in 11th. Car spun. Not quite sure who that was. It's Marco Mini. It is Marco Mini. And that's our 9th caution of the night. And that's why we don't put any weight in gaps in this race right now, is because we have not had a lot of extensive green flag running, our 9th yellow for the Argentine Matthias Marcomini. And if his day wasn't already down the tubes, it is now. Car 99, now 16 laps down and needs repair work done to be roadworthy once again. And we'll take a look why. It's out of turn 2. We can kind of take a guess as to what happened to Marcomini here. But we'll grab the official verification by looking at the instant replay. So the caution comes out here. This is what draws the caution, him trying to get back and running. He is stationary near the racing surface. But it starts a little bit sooner, and we'll back it up here a little bit, and because it is exactly what we thought it was. It is turn 2 striking once again. Marcomini just driving it in pretty deep. Completely rides out of the outside or out of the inside lane and just loses rear traction pretty quickly and tries locking it up. But the moment you hit grass, your brakes become way more ineffective, and you see the tire barrier there. He's going to grab it with the front of that car pretty heavily. He's back out on the racetrack after using that fast repair that he had built up. Not that it helps him too awful much, being the laps down that he is. But we're now back in this position where everyone is playing the hurry up and wait game under our 9th caution of the evening here at the Milwaukee Mile. Never said anything about this short little racetrack was easy. And indeed, it is snake-bitten most of the kart field here tonight. DJ Trout, though, leads the front of the way. William Rucker, Lance Anthony sitting in your podium places at the moment. David Cook Jr. trying to get that podium place away. He'll have another chance to on this restart. Bobby Blowers, your defending kart champion, in the 5th position. Sheridan Wade 6th. Marlo Duncan, Mirabella Viscali in the top 8. John Matthews and Daniel Pereira, your top 10 as things stand. Pace car pulls in, and it is time for us to get back underway. We're racing again, 9th restart tonight. Matthews trying to battle with Mirabella Viscali. That is for the 8th position, and Matthews takes that 8th spot away pretty quickly. Viscali will try to battle back on the inside lane. You got to be careful there through turns 1 and 2. It's been the snake bite corner all race long. Viscali has to slot back in line. It is a almost 3-wide battle there in that conversation for the podium places. Rucker, Anthony, Cook, and Blowers all in the conversation. Here comes Lance Anthony looking to the inside lane. William Rucker on the outside lane, the 2 most veteran drivers in the series, battling for that 2nd spot, just ahead of the series champion. Flowers trying to find a way around David Cook Jr. Easier said than done, riding on board with your defending champion. The Minnesota native trying to get closer to the front of the field. DJ Trout, his teammate, leads the way. He knows John Matthews has got the pace further back in that battle for the 8th position that he currently has under grasp. The latency is going to be a problem there for Blowers as he tries to find a way through. Nate Fields also struggling here. Had to get well out of the gas with a lot of understeer in that car. And you just watched Nate Fields lose several positions in a pretty massive way. try to figure it out and go from there once again. Everyone jockeys for position behind Josh Gaiman. That's Gaiman, Frazier, Pressey, Fields, and Ellis sitting in that 5-car group. Here we go. William Rucker and Lance Anthony. Anthony almost found his way to the wall, collected it, but is now going to be under attack from David Cook Jr., who swings through turns 3 and 4. Can he get clear? Not quite. And they're going to be side by side, wheel to wheel, down the front straightaway. Anthony's going to get back to third place after going for second and missing. Keep an eye on car 7, Rick Ravon, your Indianapolis 500 champion for the kart series. He is now back in the top 10, reeling back in Mirabella Viscali, the two that had the photo finish at the Brickyard a week ago, are going to be battling once again, this time for the 8th position. Viscali getting around Matthews. But it is a tight fight. This guy trying to drive the outside lane, but will lose out on both 8th and 9th as Ravon gets through, and his charge continues towards the front. Flowers trying to attack Lance Anthony. To no avail there. Slots back in line in 4th. He does clear David Cook Jr. Cook trying to save his tires just a little bit. Also coming up in the conversation, Sheridan Wade. And here comes another battle for the 2nd spot. Anthony trying to drive through and drive clear of William Rucker. Does so. But is he under attack immediately here for turns 3 and 4? Not quite. Everyone running up the racetrack just a little bit. Flowers now going to try to attack for the 3rd position with William Rucker. Flowers runs a little bit lower, trying to drive through the corner. And almost 3 wide. Cook had to figure out where he was going to go. Ends up going topside to no avail. And here he goes. Now it's going to work in 3 and 4. And Cook up to 4th. Here comes Sheridan Wade for 5th. Flowers will lose 4 spots in one go. Trying to go for 3rd. Had it for a moment. Ends up losing that and more. Lap traffic trying to stay out of the way as the leaders go on through. They have let DJ Trout walk out to a 2.6 second margin as we get closer to lap 90. Looking at 63 laps to go here in the Milwaukee Mile. This is the longest green flag run of the evening. Seems like a rhythm has finally been established pretty well, at least for the front runners. Flowers and Rucker battling now for the 5th position. As Sheridan Wade tries to move himself forward a little bit closer to the podium places. It is Trout, Anthony, and Cook, front and center. Flowers trying to drive himself ahead of William Rucker using the inside lane tactic again, and it's not going to work out here either. I am surprised no one's really trying it at the front of the field. The inside lane tactic in 3 and 4, where there's a little bit more grip than what there is in 1 and 2. Turns 1 and 2, Flowers trying to jump over the curb there, the yellow piece of the road. That is not a flat surface by any stretch of the imagination. It is raised, it is elevated, it is difficult. You see further back, Marlo Duncan using it to defend against Rick Ravon, and it worked out pretty well. It was successful defending that inside lane. I don't think you want to run the bottom all the way through here. And you see Ravon going to over-under on Duncan. But Duncan ran the inside lane 3 and 4 to defend that position, and it worked out well. She did a good job of doing that. But just got over-under there as Sheridan Wade comes down the pit lane with less than 60 to go. I believe this could be the final pit stop of the race, if numbers serve me correct. They often don't. There's a reason I'm up here and not in the car. with less than 60 to go, that could be a money stop for Sheridan Wade to see how things pan out. Remember, he stayed out a long time after being a part of a caution earlier on in this race. The last come down pit lane on lap 17, so this should be enough to get to the end of the race for Sheridan Wade. The question is, does he have enough real estate to make something happen and gain spots? And unfortunately, I don't think the answer to that is yes. He's going to have to try to carve through the field here if he wants a chance. He is behind Frazier at the moment, just ahead of Nick Pressing, but a lap down in the process. And you see what Fresh Tires does. Ravon is now back up into the 4th place. Pretty big stuff there. Rick Ravon turned on the jets and said goodbye. He has now got his eyes set at the front of the field. It is a stark difference. He last came down pit lane on lap 62. Flowers on 52. William Rucker on 29. David Cook Jr. next car up the road came down on pit lap 41. Rucker's down pit lane now. Trout and Anthony will need to make pit stops as well. It's believed that everyone that has not already come down pit lane, so Wade, Rucker, and Fields, them coming down pit lane right now, this is their last stop of the race. Everyone that has yet to come down pit lane has to make one more stop. So this is still right now a net positive for these two battling for second place, but they're going to want to try to keep it that way because Rick Ravon is coming in a hurry. Ravon's in 4th. They're battling for the second spot. Right now it's still a net positive. I think Anthony's coming down pit lane this time. Yes, he is. Down pit lane comes Lance Anthony. DJ Trout leading the way, is the most comfortable of anybody in the field right now, sitting 4 seconds clear of the next car. And that is a margin I think even Rick Ravon's going to have trouble in clearing, knowing that he's got to make a pit stop still in this race. And we're seeing green flag pit stops for the first time here in Milwaukee tonight. Could be a big deal. Trout comes down pit lane, so he's made that early stop, so he should be good to the finish. David Cook Jr. now leads the way by a little over 2 seconds, or a little under 2 seconds, from Rick Ravon. But he will also need to make a pit stop. More cars coming down the pit lane. That is Keel Aldridge, who is already off the lead lap there. Last car running on the lead lap now is Nick Pressey, 10 seconds behind David Cook Jr. at this point as things stand. A pit stop now would be a death sentence. That is Lily Frazier, who has had an issue on the inside lane, trying to keep that car rolling without drawing a caution. Will she be effective in that process? Yes. Frazier, the silent saint of the night, crashing out of turn 2. The snakebite corner that's affected everybody. Gets back rolling, does not draw a caution, takes the lap down hit on the chin. And especially if you're a front runner or those that just came down pit lane, you are going to be owing Lily Frazier a thank you card at the very least as things sit. Less than 50 laps to go. The race continues on as Frazier figures out how much damage is on that 13 car and when that pit stop might be the best applicable for the Woofle Motorsports car. David Cook Jr. still leads the way, and he's pulled a gap here on Rick Ravon. 2 seconds is now the gap. He has found an answer. He has found the antidote. And trouble for William Rucker. He had came down pit lane. He is on his own. He is also going to get back rolling because there is no traffic behind him. There you go. But everyone beginning to struggle just a little bit. David Cook Jr. leads the way. Ravon in second. The gap now beginning to close. As Ravon has dealt with lap traffic, the gap is now 1.6 seconds and it is closing as you would expect it to when you have a 20-lap tire advantage over the car in front. He's going to be able to work on that a little bit. Blowers in third has stayed in touching distance thanks to that lap traffic, but Blowers also has a deficit to the 7. So this will be difficult. Wade is down pit lane again. Not a good omen there for Sheridan Wade, the 54, down pit lane another time. Marlo Duncan will make her final pit stop of the day. So Duncan down pit lane, Cook sitting in the race lead, Rick Ravon in second, Flowers in third. Again, a caution now would be devastating to everyone that has come down pit lane trying to bank on these green flag stops. Nick Cressy watching as Josh Gaiman battles with Daniel Pereira. Cars down pit lane. That is Cook, Viscali, both down pit lane. Same with Casey Ellis. Rick Ravon back out in front for the first time since the opening 50 laps. He has now led lap 53 in his repertoire. Make that lap 54 for Rick Ravon. But a pit stop is in his future still. Pascali leaving pit lane now. 72. Got a tiptoe. 3 turns, 1 and 2. Very narrow warm-up lane. But she is now back out on the racetrack, losing out to Marlo Duncan. And slotting back in line in 12th position as everyone cycles on through. Ravon, Blowers, your top 2. A 6-second gap to John Matthews in 3rd. Pereira in 4th. Josh Gaiman in tow in 5th is how things currently sit, with coming to 39 laps to go. But we'll see how things change as this race continues to evolve. A very sloppy first half of the race has given way to a pretty phenomenal second half of the race. The tale of two halves, the Jekyll and Hyde scenario here in Milwaukee. What does Rick Ravon do? Does he come down pit lane? No, not this time. He's got a little bit more of a runway to play with. He came down pit lane on lap 62. He cannot go 90 laps. We know that. It's expected he'll try to come down pit lane as close to lap 130 as he can. 20 laps on fresh as can be tires will make him pretty lethal here at the Milwaukee Mile. He'll have a pretty decent overlap to try to deal with. But he'll also have, I think, the strongest advantage you can have here at Milwaukee. John Matthews down pit lane. Ravon and Blowers now left to their own devices by the tune of 7 seconds plus to Pereira. The Brazilian sits in the 3rd spot. Ravon's hoping that he can try to get a back-to-back race victory after winning the Indianapolis 500 a week ago. Caught up by a little bit of traffic. That is William Rucker, who is trying to avoid going a second lap down and will be left answering on that one. Blue Jade has moved up to the 21st position, trying to chip away at some of those positions. Andrew Fay and Brian Edwards lie in wait for Blue Jade to get into the top 20. That'd be 19th if Jade can get there. Battle further back. DJ Trout is behind David Cook Jr. at the moment. These two duking it out for what could provisionally be the race lead once everyone makes those stops. Bobby Blowers has made his stop. He is in pit lane now. There's the defending champion on the pit lane at the very slow crawl of 45 miles an hour. Ravon leads the way, but he is dealing with lap traffic in pretty massive spades. Remember, Blowers had a deficit of about 10 laps to Ravon, so Ravon can get close to lap 130 here. Frazier's back down pit lane, and I think this is the final stop for Frazier. Frazier had not yet made the stop when she spun out earlier in the race. Stayed out, took the heroes' applause for keeping the race green. It comes down pit lane now and will drop out of the top 10. 4 cars on the lead lap from Ravon down to Pressey. Pereira sitting in second, Gaiman third, Pressey fourth. Carrera's down pit lane now as well. The Brazilian will give up second place to Josh Gaiman at the moment in order to make his final pit stop of the day. Coming to 30 laps to go is the number 7. He's got a 10-second buffer here to try to make magic happen here in Milwaukee. Only 3 cars right now on the lead lap, but they all need pit stops here still to get to the finish. Battle for position here. Here comes Trout and Blowers, and Blowers will get through around on Trout. So Trout's had an issue, lost touch there with David Cook Jr., and now here comes the defending champion Blowers up in the running and in 5th on merit here. This will look good as things run around. These 3 going to be battling for podium places at the very least, if not looking for the race win. Gaiman's down pit lane now. He's taking his last stop of the race. Cressy down pit lane as well. So both of them coming down pit lane. They will surrender their lap advantage to make those final pit stops happen. Again, we talked about Ravon. He's going to try to go as close to lap 130 as he can. Underfuel the car, get the car as light as possible, put on fresh tires that are going to handle better with that lower amount of weight in the car. And then try to let it eat from there. But looking at the trends, looking at the numbers that I'm seeing at the moment, it is going to be very difficult for him to get to the podium places as things currently sit. Cook and Blowers battling for the second spot. If they battle and slow each other up a significant degree, it could open the door. But again, we'll see how that pans out. Ravon is down pit lane now. He's going to come down a couple laps early. And so here comes the race in trouble. Pit lane for Ravon. Trouble further back, and it's Josh Gaiman. Oh, dear. So the positive to this is that Ravon's on pit lane. He can take his service still. And he looks like he might have. He did. So a decent chunk of cars do get a lap back here. Let's see what happened to Josh Gaiman, though. He is in trouble. And our 10th caution of the night will set up a pretty wild run here. And this looks very reminiscent to the William Rucker spin earlier on in the race. And he just loses it out of turn 2. And does he tag the fence? Yes, he does. He tried to save it, but couldn't. And that is unfortunate. And his day is effectively done and over with. He will not see the finish here at the Milwaukee Mile. And this worked out an absolute treat for Rick Ravon. This worked out an absolute treat for the number 7. Got a free pit stop. The leaders have to take a wave around. Less than 30 laps to go, though. I think I would put money on having another caution before this race is over. Wave rounds happening for those in the top 9. Nick Cressy will be the first car off the lead lap as things currently stand. He's the first car behind the number 1. And the important aspect to this is that the wave round cars will be behind everybody in the field. So not only does Rick have himself a buffer, but the cars that are just now getting back on the lead lap here will not be able to touch him without getting through the lap traffic. And so the deck has been stacked at this point. in a pretty significant way. And so we get ready to go back racing. Everyone trying to get themselves postured and ready to go. Pace car comes down the pit lane. 32 laps to go here in Milwaukee. And Ravon leads, and it's not close. Very firmly a battle for the second position at the moment. As they try to navigate lap traffic, this is going to be miserable if you are second, third, or fourth at the moment, because you know the urgency is high and there's nothing you can do. Everyone just trying to jockey positions here the best that they can. Matthews and Anthony battling for the 8th spot as Frazier was battling for position as well there with William Rucker and ends up falling out of the conversation altogether as the leaders go on through. Ravon has set the fast lap of the race to no surprise because he's got clean air, clean real estate, and no pressure. 21.92 for the number 7 as his contemporaries try to work through lap traffic. Viscali and Duncan battling for position. That is for 6th. Viscali's got it. Duncan had it and lost it. Here comes Anthony and Matthews. They are in the conversation, attacking Duncan now out of turn 2. Less than 20 laps to go. Viscali will try to catch up to Daniel Pereira to try to get into that top 5 conversation. Cook and Blowers, they have gotten through most, if not all, of the lap traffic here. I believe there's still one car hanging in there, and I think that is Pressy. For second. Cook ran really up high in 1 and 2. Blowers runs the bottom for 3 and 4, trying to capitalize. See how it pans out down the front straightaway. Still in Cook's favor. He carries the momentum to the corner. Viscali, personal best, 22.39. In the pursuit of Pereira, the Brazilian holding under the top 5 spot at the moment. Side by side. As they enter turns 1 and 2, as we're going to find Blowers and Cook. They had to split 3 wide. Blowers drifts up a little bit high. Had to give just enough space for Cook, who was on full gear going around the outside lane. And trouble, caution is out, William Rucker. Out of turn 2, again, the trouble corner bites for the count at 12th time here in Milwaukee. It does reset. Pressy gets a lap back here. He gets back on the lead lap in 10th. And if you are on the lead lap and you have a set of tires, you grab them now, I think, in this situation. Let's take a look at what happened to William Rucker. This is in turn 2, and I think we know how this plays out. Grab the curbing. Lost traction. Around he goes. Thankfully, I don't think he tags the fence. Just a spin in a dangerous location out of turn 2. And that will reset the field just a little bit. Lance Anthony, Marlo Duncan, they come down pit lane for tires. Everyone else staying out. Very interesting play. See how this all stands. Not a lot of time left in this race either. We'll be going green with about 10 laps to go here in Milwaukee. Get ready to go back racing. A shout out to the sponsors of the Carmen Athletics IndyCar Series. It's been a wild race here in Milwaukee, but now the lead lap cars all have a chance to battle for position at the front of the field with no lap traffic intervention. Coming to the green with 10 laps to go. Ravon looking to go back-to-back here in Milwaukee after winning a week before in the Indianapolis 500. David Cook Jr. would love to battle for that race lead. Bobby Blowers would love to battle for that race lead from third. We'll see how things pan out from here. Green flag flies. Away we go. We're back underway. 10 to go. Who's got what it takes to get around Rick Ravon late here at the Milwaukee Mile? There's been attrition filled in this race. What do we see here? Blowers attacking Cook. Blowers knows he can get around Ravon. He's done it earlier in this race. It took a lot of heroics, though, to make it happen. David Cook Jr. is going to be very frustrating to the number one as the top three pull away quickly. Ravon on the freshest tires in the field. I'm surprised no one has went and grabbed tires in this conversation. Battle for fifth. Pereira and Viscali. They are side by side entering turns 3 and 4. Pereira has the advantage. Ravon continues to lead here by a little under half a second over Cook and Blowers. They've got older tires. They are going to be struggling on those older tires. Ravon just set another fastest lap of the race. He is untouchable at the moment. And you're going to need another intervention if you want to have a shot here in Milwaukee. Coming to 5 to go, and Ravon has said sayonara. Battle further back. This is between Matthews and Anthony. That is for 7th, 8th, and 9th, with Marlo Duncan in the conversation as well. Duncan going to try to pass for the 8th position and gets through. Matthews down in the 9th. Ravon now over a second clear. It's a battle for second between Cook and Blowers here at the Milwaukee Mile. Drifting out is Blowers, still struggling to get around Cook. Marcamini off the racetrack. He is backwards on the racetrack. Is he going to tow, or are we going to see a caution in this race? He tows. We stay green. Battle for second place. Blowers again gets close, side by side. Going to see if he has a chance to do 3 and 4 here. But again, Ravon is out of the way, out of touch. Going to drift out wide, very close. And caution is out. Caution is out. It's Pressey. Pressey around at the back in 10th. And the race, I believe, is over. The result at the front would not have changed under green or under caution. The unfortunate reality is that Flowers had at least one more good opportunity to try to go for that second place, and instead he will have to be sitting waiting for third for the next couple laps under caution. That is the unfortunate reality here for Bobby Flowers as the defending champion sits in that third spot. Lily Frazier will get a lap back here, I do believe. And so Frazier will end up finishing this race on the lead lap in the 11th spot. Wasn't really under pressure for that 11th position prior to the caution. And now there will be any pressure at all as Pressey rolls around at the back of the field. And I'm just now getting the correction. We are in overtime officially. So we do have overtime here This would be lap 150 that we're on right now. And instead of it being in the white flag, we're going to have a shootout here at the finish. So welcome everyone to ABN Overtime. Wild stuff here late on in this race. Lights out on the pace car, which means we're going green at the end of this lap. And we know what the stakes are now. Does David Cook Jr. have enough to try to go for this race lead on Rick Ravon, knowing that you've only got 2 laps to make things happen, and Bobby Blowers will be able to attack in depth if you miss. Everyone lined up, getting ready to go. Ravon, Cook, Blowers, Trout, Viscali, your top 5. Pace car is in. Green flag flies, away we go. And Blowers gets an amazing restart. Up to second. Trouble! Huge trouble! Huge trouble! Huge trouble further back. Caution is out again. That was David Cook Jr. that went spinning in front of DJ Trout. Viscali up the 3rd. Trout has to tow. David Cook Jr.'s day is done. And they will try again. Excuse me, they will not try again. This will end the race. They had one opportunity and it's gone. Blowers to second. Viscali ends up in 3rd. Back-to-back podiums for Viscali. Watch that happen in front. It'll be Rick Ravon that wins here ahead of Bobby Blowers and Mirabella Viscali. Under caution. It took overtime, and they still couldn't get under green. And that will end the race. And we'll take a look at what happened on that restart. Because it was gnarly. This is from David Cook Jr. Everyone trying to give it a go. Flowers got an amazing restart here, just absolutely stormed to the front of the field there. I think Blowers is really aiming for that 7 car. And David Cook Jr. just loses it super early. Trout's committed to the outside lane because Viscali's to the bottom. And there's nowhere for Trout to go other than up and into the fence as a result of that. Upside down. Bounces off the concrete wall. A gnarly hit there. Completely shuffles how this race pans out. Wild, wild, wild results here from Milwaukee in a nasty way. Results, though, are going to be on your screen as things currently stand. Ravon, Blowers, Viscali, your top 3 here from Milwaukee. We'll talk to our podium finishers in just a second. Daniel Pereira in 4th. Lance Anthony gets the top 5 here in Wisconsin. Marlo Duncan ends up getting a 6th place finish ahead of John Matthews. Nicholas Pressey, Louis Frazier, and Nate Fields ends up in 10th as things sit. William Rucker in 11th. David Cook Jr. not finishing this race ends up in the 12th position. at the finish. DJ Trout ends up 13th after being in the top 5 late on in the race. Disappointing for him how his race turned out there. Sheridan Wade in 14th place. Kiel Aldridge 15th. Adam Matthias Marcomeni, and a slew of retirements here where you'll find, obviously, Josh Gaiman, Casey Ellis, Blue Jade, who did not retire, was at the finish there. Brian Edwards of retirement, Andrew Fay, Elizabeth Peltier Sharp, Billy Smith, and Brandon Statton, all out early here in Milwaukee. An absolute cluster here tonight. But we'll talk to our podium finishers, beginning with car number 72, Mirabella Viscali, who had a pretty wild run of it here. Mira, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy?
I sure do.
A wild, wild race here. A lot of up and down. Obviously, pretty physical race, all things considered, but a third place, avoiding the carnage. Walk us through it.
I don't really know where to begin. I bottled it in qualifying, and I was like, oh boy, I'm gonna wreck before this race even really gets on your way. And then avoided all the carnage early on. My internet stayed stayed true, so that's good as well. And got the right, not the right strategy, but I had a strategy that was enough to get me on the lead lap, so that's all that matters there. And challenge for the win at the end if I was a little bit closer, but I don't think I had anything for Bobby or Rick. They were in another league tonight.
This was going to be an attrition race from the start. It typically is here at Milwaukee, and we saw that in spades. 13 cautions made it difficult. How did you manage to kind of keep things put together here? Because turn 2 looked like it was the snake bite corner all the way throughout the evening. But how do you sort of keep yourself composed here when you see everyone around you having trouble tonight?
Just having good people around me, honestly. I know we talked last night, about, where my head was when I'm by myself, but when I have people around me, like my amazing girlfriend and Marlo and Blue popping in and Emma and everybody else that's in the transmission Grand Prix, or GP, server. I mean, with people like that, it's pretty easy to keep your cool, honestly.
It worked out in a big way here. Back-to-back podiums. Second, obviously, at Indianapolis a week ago. Third here in Milwaukee. It works out a pretty big treat here.
Yeah,
we talked about it.
And
Go ahead.
it's just I did not think I was gonna get a podium tonight. I was like, maybe a top 5, but a podium, I was not seeing that.
And we move over to a track that's going to be frantic for different reasons. Texas coming up next Thursday in 7 days' time. What's the feeling going into that? We raced under the lights when it was the ABN Champ Car World Series. The race coming up here next week's under daytime conditions, a little bit hotter than what it was last month. What's the vibe going into the Lone Star State?
I think I'm gonna be perfectly okay there. I felt really good in the ABN race. I felt like if it wasn't for some bad luck, I would have been up there challenging for the win in that one. So I think another challenge for the win next week is definitely in the cards. As long as I don't bottle qualifying, I think we're going to be okay.
Survival of the fittest was the theme here tonight. Mirabella Viscali, a clean race car is an important race car, and it's a third place finish for the 72 camp tonight. Before we let you go and let you get ready, not only for next Thursday's race, but also for the sort of the HTL season with Daytona qualifying coming up on Monday. If there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on back-to-back podiums here to kick off the month of May.
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone in the Transmission GP server, Bailey, Blue, Emma, Erica, my girlfriend, of course, I love you to death. I never watching. I love you. Marlo, Scarlett, Lily, you guys are all amazing. You girls are the best, and I can't think of anyone else I want to be hanging out with on a Thursday night or Wednesday night for that matter, or any night, because it's amazing. And I can't wait for HTL. I got a great team there with NFG, and I know Nick probably wasn't very happy with me last night, but hopefully as teammates we can work together and kick some butt in HTL.
Gonna be a lot of fun to see how things pan out here. Still championship leader after 3 races. Texas coming up next week. Mirabella Viscali P3 here in Milwaukee. Congratulations, and we'll obviously see you again on Monday. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That was the 72 Mirabella Viscali, points leader by 3 points over Rick Ravon. It's 108 to 105 with Bobby Flowers in third. The defending champion moves up to the third spot in the points. We'll talk to him up next here. Car 34 having a wild, wild race. One of the fastest cars in the field. Just not a lot of time to get things done at the end. Bobby, walk us through that race. That was an interesting battle, to say the least.
Oh, well, first off, that was so much fun. Default set was really loose, and I was just trying to do everything I could to make it comfortable. Turns out that was really good for qualifying, so qualified second. And I was just trying to follow Rick and maybe see if I could try to get around him, because I knew the clean air was going to be really key here, but couldn't get around him on that first group of runs in between yellows. But then when me and Rick pit, we got caught out a little bit and had a couple people come out ahead of us. And I just kept getting stuck in dirty air for that long run. Was just overdriving it, kept getting the right front hot. Yeah, just got stuck a little bit, but I had enough fuel to be able to stretch it out a little bit longer than a lot of people and benefited that way. Then there's that late yellow after the long run. I thought I was never going to get back to Rick, and me and David were fighting through traffic there, split them 3, I think a couple times. That was really fun. And that last restart, I really wish I could have restarted second, because I think after learning the timing a little bit of what Rick was doing on the restarts earlier in the race, I think I could have got to his outside there on that last restart. But I'm perfectly happy with second. 2 podiums to start the season. Even if the Indy was bad, I'll take 2 podiums to start the season.
And we obviously, we get further into the month of May here. We have Texas coming up, and then Gateway after that, the next 2 races. Texas was going to be a flat-out race. Your first ABN Champ Car win was at Texas a couple of years ago in the Champ Car World Series, so we know what you can do at that 1.5-mile racetrack. What's the feeling going into those next 2 races, knowing that you've had success there within recent history?
I always run pretty good at the speedways, so I'm looking forward to Texas. Just going to be a lot of being in the right spot at the right time, I think. Gateway, I don't think I'll race too much different than how this one did. As far as cars up front, I feel pretty good at Gateway. I have finished pretty well there before. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one.
It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this all plays out. Bobby Blauer's championship campaign continues as he tries to defend that title in that number 1. 2 podiums in the first 3 races. Podiumed at the Brickyard Grand Prix. Podiums here in Milwaukee. Bobby, before we let you go and let you get ready for not only the racing coming up this weekend, but the HTL Cup Series Daytona 500 qualifying on Monday, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on the 2nd place.
Yeah, thank you. Got to shout out Orlando Outlaws, my teammates DJ and John for showing up tonight. Got to thank Blue as well, even though she showed up late. She still showed up. Lily, Martin, who wasn't here tonight, but still a good part of the team. Got to thank Casey for showing up. I didn't expect him to show up for Milwaukee, but really glad he did. Got to thank 213somewhere.com, Creeper Host, Twisted Speed. They're cooking up some real hot sets for Monday. Looking forward to that. Yeah, that'll be all.
Phenomenal job for Bobby Blowers here. 2nd place here at the Milwaukee Mile. He'll look forward to finding similar success in Texas in 7 days' time. Bobby, congratulations. Obviously, we'll talk to you again on Monday for Daytona 500 qualifying, but enjoy it, and we'll see you then.
Yep, thank you.
Phenomenal job for Bobby Blowers, your 2nd place finisher here tonight. We move forward to the 7-car team. Rick, this was a phenomenal race, class of the field. Even when it seemed sketchy in the mid-phase, there was never a doubt that the pace the 7-car had was legitimate. Walk us through it.
Oh, there was plenty of doubt, believe me. There was, I noticed in practice that a lot of people were struggling. I struggled too. And exiting turn 2 and turn 4. And I saw a lot of people, spinning, hitting the wall and stuff like that. I said, oh boy, this is going to be, I hope it's not a yellow filled race. And sure enough, especially for the lesser experienced drivers out there that don't really know how to work the bars and the jacker. And it was really just, well, do you pit? Do you wait? Guys in the back, they might pit to try to gain a little fuel advantage. If you pit under green, that could potentially ruin your race. So I waited and waited. I said, yeah, there'll probably be another caution, probably another. And waited till I got down to about 7 gallons. I'm like, yeah, maybe now's a good time to pit. And then we're like back in, I don't know what it was, 18th. So trying to work our way up. We did have some good fortune, though, when that yellow came out. I actually have one more lap of fuel in the car. And I just decided to come in a lap early just to play it safe, because if I stayed out that lap and then the yellow came out, I want to run out. So I said, let me play it safe. So when I came in, I crossed the line. There's a yellow flag. I went, you got to be kidding me. I said, I think I'm going to maintain. I'm going to keep the lead. So, when you have the lead, you're in clean air. It's very difficult to pass. So I was, just able to use that to my advantage and, come on with the win. Congratulations to Bobby Blowers and Mirabella, Viscali. Boy, that was one heck of a run, man. That was one heck of a run. Blowers was fast. I knew that Cook was going to be up there. He's always a contender for the win. That was just one heck of a race, man. Really, so much fun.
And the fun keeps going here. The next couple races, as we really get into the month of May and we get into the racing spirit, well and truly here, Texas. We go to Lone Star State next Thursday, and then Gateway after that. Everyone kind of understands it's going to be a similar vibe to what Milwaukee was, as far as how difficult it will be exiting turn 2 and how important it will be for you starting off your season with 2 wins in a row from the Indianapolis 500 to here in Milwaukee. What's the feeling going into the Lone Star State next week?
I have no idea. I mean, I just, in practice, you kind of gauge what's going on out there. And I really don't know what to expect from race to race. This is such a strong field. I'm sorry I missed race number 1, but I was trying to wrap up a championship in another league, so I had to forego the first race. But I told Lance, I said, you know what, I'm going to commit to a full season this season because it's such a good league. And the schedules always clash. But as far as the rest of the season, I did take a look at the schedule. And I see it's mostly ovals, which is good. It's good for competition because you got somebody who's good on a road course, he'll, normally just run away. But the ovals give you good competition. So just looking forward to the rest of the season.
It's going to be a lot of fun seeing Car 7 in the field here. 2 wins in a row with Texas coming up and then Gateway to end out the month of May.
That's sorry to interrupt, but that takes me back to the days when, let's see, it was Gordon Johncock won the Indy 500 82. Then he backed it up next week with a win at Milwaukee. Tom Sneva did the same thing in 1983. He won Indianapolis, backed it up with a win at Milwaukee. 1984, Rick Mears won the Indy 500. And then, well, his engine blew on the last lap while he was leading. So that broke that streak. But, hey, I got a Indy and Milwaukee back-to-back myself. So this feels real good.
A fantastic way to repeat history here, especially in the best month of motorsports of the entire calendar year. Rick, before we let you celebrate your race win and get ready for a wonderful weekend, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on your 2nd win in a row here this season.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, FMW. And I want to thank my wife for putting up with my my little hobby here, my kids, Zoe, Mila. Love you guys. Thank everybody in the field. There was a lot of good, clean, people give way for the leader. There's courtesy out there. Everybody was very courteous. Thanks to everybody out there. Again, congratulations to Bobby Blowers and Mirabelli, Viscali. Thanks to Lance Anthony for the league. Thanks to you for the job that you do in broadcasting the race up there. Thanks to all the fans. Thanks to Roger Penske. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to the Lord Jesus for dying on the cross for me to save me from eternal damnation. Thank you so much, Jesus. I love you with all my heart, soul, mind, and breath. And that's about it, my brother. See you next week.
A phenomenal job in the Amazing Seven crew here. Rick, we'll see you again in Texas. See if you can go and get 3 in a row there in the Lone Star State. Congratulations.
Thank you, Carmen. We'll be looking for the hat trick next week. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Absolutely. A phenomenal job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was Rick Ravon, the number 7 car here, race winner once again in Milwaukee. A phenomenal job here for all of our podium finishers. We got to talk to everyone here tonight. But that'll do it from us here in Milwaukee. A lot of fun to be had in the crazy mile here in Wisconsin. Join us again this weekend. High Octane racing at Stafford. No Winstall Cup Series race because of Mother's Day. So if we don't see you on Saturday, a happy Mother's Day to all of those that celebrate. We'll see you again on Monday for the HTL Daytona 500 qualifying presented by Team Conti Sim Performance. But on behalf of everyone here for CART, for Crown Athletics, the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series, and all of its partners, and everyone here at Avian Studios, I'm Carmen Sienna. Join us again this weekend or join us again on Monday. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. So long, everybody, from Milwaukee.